Morning everybody. This video is on the last two questions of the reading section of Eduqas English Language Component 2, questions 5 and 6, or questions 15 and 16, however you think about them. If you haven't watched my other videos on questions 1 through 4, go ahead and watch them, because you do need to know what you're doing for this exam, for this paper, so that you're answering the questions as you should. So question 15 or question 5 is your synthesis question. Please note, it is only 4 marks. It is meant to be quick and easy. What synthesis means is selecting similar evidence from each of the two texts. So the question structure will be something like: using information from both texts, explain briefly, and then it will give you the thing that it wants you to look at in each of the two texts. The explain briefly is a little bit of a red herring. So you're going to read the question and identify exactly what it is that you're needing to find. It will always be a piece of concrete information. And then you're going to find those two pieces of evidence from each text. So your 4 marks are essentially for your 4 short quotations, and you write it up as this 2-sentence answer format. So in the modern text, the question focus, so whatever it is they've asked you to look for, is this short quotation and this short quotation. So if they ask you to say what the weather is, it is, so the weather is sunny and cloudy in the afternoons. In the 19th century text, the weather is rainy first thing in the morning and bright sunshine in the evening. It is the 2 pieces of information that you're selecting. So the one that I gave you as the example earlier, which is explain briefly the immediate actions of Eileen Jones and Ida Lewis when they go to do these sea rescues, would be something like this. In the modern text, the immediate reaction of Eileen Jones was she dropped everything and rushed to the lifeboat, and that would be 2 ticks. That's 2 marks. In the 19th century text, the immediate reaction of Ida Lewis is to grab a coil of rope and to call her younger brother. 2 more marks. That's 4 out of 4. There will be multiple things that you could choose, most likely, but you're looking to get 2 quotes from each of the 2 texts to get you those 4 marks. All right, let's have a look at question 16 or question 6, because this one is the format of answering this question is important. So this one says both of the texts are about women who are involved in sea rescues. Compare, and then it says the impressions that the writers give of the 2 people and how the writers give those. So I want to remind you that when we have impressions in a question, it means things like adjectives to describe them and their actions and their attitude. The how is always your quotes to support that. So you can do similarities or differences. Generally, you are going to be looking at events or particular people or particular ideas. So maybe like the idea of someone being brave. Then you're finding evidence to support each of the ideas that you're coming up with. So this one is focused on people. It's not always focused on people. It will always ask for you for an impression, and that is going to be your adjective, as it always has been with every single one. So when we're looking at impressions, what are they like? What adjectives can you use to describe them? How are they similar? How are they different? And then how do the writers create these impressions? That is purely your evidence to support whatever the adjective, the impression is that you've come up with. So if we're looking at how we format this answer, you're going to have 3 paragraphs, and each paragraph is going to be formatted like this, and it will depend on whether you've got a similarity or a difference. So both of the women are, or both of the things are, and then whatever it is your impression is, your adjectives to describe them, that's your similarity. For your difference, whereas one person or one situation or one event is like this, in contrast this, so where Eileen is seen to be, I don't know, brave, in contrast Ida is nervous. So you're still using those adjectives to create your impression. Each time you use an accurate adjective, you get your impression mark. Then you're finding your evidence to support each one. So you're taking your evidence from the first text and your evidence from the second text to support whatever it is that your impression is, and you're doing your simple inference. So this is a model. Both of the women are brave. Okay, you get a tick because you've accurately identified that both of them are brave. Eileen is brave, Ida is brave. That's 2 ticks. If that was a difference, you would have got a tick over each of the accurate impressions that you've given about them. Eileen Jones was called a loyal hero and given an award for bravery by the RNI, showing her commitment to saving lives. And you get the tick there because that is the evidence to support how you think she's brave, what the evidence is in the text for her being brave. Similarly, Ida Lewis is described as a brave daughter when her actions were seen as an act of heroism, showing her unusual bravery in the rescue. And we've got, again, the quote there, heroism supports the idea of her being brave, and this is unusual. So you can see that with this paragraph, there is enough there for you to get 2 marks for impressions and 2 marks for evidence. When you come to write this up, you're aiming for about 3 paragraphs in total. Now, 3 paragraphs with 4 marks in each would actually get you to 12 marks, and this is a 10-mark question. So the emphasis here is on making sure that you have got accurate impressions and valid evidence. And what the examiner will do will give you 10 marks, up to 10 marks for this. But because you've probably written slightly more than you need to get these 3 paragraphs, whether they're similarities or differences, you would then maybe have something in there that wasn't necessarily valid, or you've repeated yourself, or you've chosen a piece of evidence that isn't maybe as accurate, your inference isn't as accurate. So they are using the additional couple of sentences that you've written to find you those additional marks. If you are just part of the I only want to pass crew, then you need to do 2 paragraphs for this one. That would be limiting yourself at 8 marks, but 8 marks is way more than you need for this question. And so then that is really good. All right, so as I've said with my previous videos for paper 2 super important. It's essential that you know the correct method for answering the questions. They're not difficult, but each of the questions needs you to know what you're doing. We will be looking at the 2 non-fiction writing questions in our next videos. I'm also going to put short summaries on TikTok, so make sure you go and find me there as well, because that can be part of your revision.